Today, we're talking all about what you should pay yourself when you're starting a lawn and landscape business and what you should pay yourself down the line. Before we get into that, my name is Jacob Godar. I have a landscape company in Florida and one in Illinois. And over the course of time, I've just learned so much about how I should pay myself from the very beginning of just really trying to get going all the way to now where the business has grown a lot and our plans for the future. So some things to think about is first, what are you trying to build? Are you trying to scale something really, really large, or are you just wanting to stay a one-man band? That's going to determine a lot of how you start out. So if you start out and you say, hey, I just want to have this where it's just me, I'm just doing my own thing, know that your company's probably not going to do much more than 100 to 150,000 total. If you're going to do that though, you can pay yourself a lot more along the way because you're not having to reinvest for the future. Now, if you answered that you're wanting to scale, you're wanting to have a massive company down the road, that would mean you should sacrifice a lot at the beginning so you can grow your company faster. What I did is knew that I wanted to have a large company. When I knew that, I realized the faster we can invest, the faster we can go, the quicker I can get through the pain of everything sucking and be in a place where the company's bigger and we're getting to reap some of the rewards, given this is going to take years. But so what I did was I looked at what is the lowest amount I can pay myself and survive. This means when I started out, I was barely on a livable wage. We were on food stamps for a year. We were doing everything, scraping and clawing to get the business going, to really invest in the business. If any of my employees worked overtime, they made more money than me. So humble beginnings, but I knew what I wanted down the road. So if you're just wanting to have a one-man band, you're gonna be able to pay yourself a large amount of that business because you're the most invested in your own company. If you're going to scale, you're going to need to pay yourself as little as possible. I can't tell you exact numbers because you have to be in it to understand and just know the least amount you can, and probably what you can barely live off of, is what you should do so you can scale. Now, as you grow your company, in between that 100,000 and million mark is a really, really challenging time. This is going to be a thing that if you're scaling, you're just going to be paying yourself what you can afford to pay yourself. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a grind. You're going to be able to increase your income, but it's going to be hard the whole way. When you start getting over $1 million in sales though, a true belief of mine that has been affirmed by many of my friends is that 10% is my rough go-to number of what I want of the company revenues to make it exciting enough to want to keep doing, because it's a lot of work to grow a company. But when I say 10%, I don't mean just random 10% of this given year and what we think we're going to make. I mean 10% of the past year. Now, if you're growing a company really, really fast, 10% of the past year is probably only 6, 7, maybe 8% of the given year. So that is what I look to be paid as we scale the companies. It can scale with the companies. I can take less over time if I need to, but you can't pay yourself that small of a percentage when you start out a company, because 10% of 100,000 would not get you anything. That you wouldn't even be able to survive. So this is kind of how it's changed for me. Those are some of the processes I have went through in paying myself, how I pay myself. And the reason that I finally got affirmed of that 8 to 10% being a really good number is a friend of mine made the comment. He said, if you invest money in the stock market, you expect to see an 8 to 10% return. In your own business, where you're investing your blood, your sweat, your tears, you're risking all kinds of different things, typically it's going to earn more than the stock market. So if you're in that 8 to 10 range, that is easily justifiable for you as you scale your company. So that is how I paid myself. That is what I've done. I knew that I didn't want to just have a small operation, which that's fine too. If you have a small operation where you're doing 100, 150,000, you're doing it all alone, you're not going to have many expenses. You're going to be able to keep it really, really lean and tight, and you're going to be able to pay yourself a good portion of that. But what you need to make sure is you don't pay yourself all of the profit. You have to leave some of the profit still to put it back into the business. And all of these answers aren't perfect, cut and dry answers. There is gray area here. You're going to need to see how your business runs. You're going to have to watch the numbers. Things are going to change from year to year. And as you go on, you're going to learn what is a reasonable amount that's within my numbers and my company can afford it, because no two businesses perform the same. They might both do 100,000 in revenue. One might spend 110,000 a year and the other might spend 10,000 a year. Those are two very different businesses. One has $90,000+ of profit. The other one's in the red just for the act of going out and trying to do business. So it all depends on your pricing and how you run it and all the things you do. But this is how I've paid myself over time. And I'm happy to be able to shed some light on that for you, because it was a challenge for me to try to determine what is fair, what is not fair. Am I greedy? Am I not greedy? Am I doing the right thing? Like, never really knowing, because no one's there to teach you these things. If this video has helped you, share this with someone else that's in business that might be struggling with the same thing. Like it, subscribe. And if you're looking for a group of of awesome people that are all very like-minded. You're gonna wanna check out our coaching group. It's GROW Comm. You can find that at jacobgodar.com. Check out GROW Comm. There will be a wait list. If it's open, you may be able to get right in. If it's not, you can get on the wait list and it'll be open 4 times a year. Can't wait to see you in the next video.